Okay. Let's start today's call. So the first agenda item is just to look at the current sprint. Just want to go through the tickets, and then is there any outstanding issues and things like that that need to be discussed or have blockers to move forward. Before we start there, I want to ask a question that is the current workflow working okay with everyone in terms of the current ticket status, whether it makes sense, and also whether there's the confusion whether how we move the tickets from one status to another status. So, for example, like I have a question for you guys is that, when the tickets are created, they're under open tickets, and then maybe some clarification needs to be needed before even get started. So when the developers collect enough information to get started, we move to like the in progress status. So that's when they start working on the tickets, and then maybe there's some communication back and forth to ask for further clarification just to make sure. And then when the ticket has become, the development work is completed, and it will move to the pre-testing phase, and developer would provide maybe a snapshot APK or module for testing, and then the requester or the implementers users will do the testing and confirm whether it worked as expected. If it's confirmed yes, and it will go to code review, and then when we review the code and the pull request, and then to merge the code. So I think from this stage, and then to move to the testing phase, that's where I have the questions, and I'm a little bit confused what should happen from code review stage to testing phase. So let's say the Win say, oh, it's ready for testing. Like we have. So he reviewed a bunch of tickets yesterday, and then they're ready for testing. So what implementers I need to know what I need to use to do the final testing. So should we provide like a different APK for each ticket, or maybe one APK for a few tickets for testing? A vision that I have, and I don't know where I should find the APK for testing during the testing phase. So for the pre-testing phase, I think the developers already provide the snapshot or the module for us to do testing. On the testing phase, how we should handle that? Should be one APK for multiple tickets, or an APK for different tickets? Anyone?
Hi. Somehow you are breaking.
Yes.
Go on, I'll go later.
Go ahead, Kieran. You guys are on mute in case you're talking. So hi, Win. We're just talking about the workflow of moving the tickets. I think I'll just briefly mention that all these steps makes from tickets to code review. It makes sense to move. It makes sense to me, but once we move to the testing phase, should we or for multiple tickets for testing, or okay for each ticket for testing? That's where we are now. I'm just asking for feedback from the team that whether it should be one APK for multiple tickets or one APK per ticket for testing during the testing phase. Which one makes sense for everyone?
Hi, Ada, Kiran here. So I have something to talk about the. So if
Yeah,
can I heard somebody
sure.
else also
Go
talk.
ahead.
Okay. So
No, go
regarding
ahead. Just
the
go ahead.
okay. So regarding the AP, so I have some comments about the workflow also. So I'll come back to that later. But to answer your question about the APK, I think in a ideal case, you will basically have some like some server which is generating the APK and the necessary OMADs and deploying. And for every APK that is generated, you actually tag saying these are the issues. You basically version it, and the version based on the version, you should be able to figure out what are the tickets that have been implemented till that version. So I'm not sure how the current APK generation is happening, but you could do it by using if we follow the versioning mechanism, then and if we tie that to Git repository, then we should be able to do that. I think when we decide the Git workflow that me and Vin were discussing about, so this should get resolved as part of that. But yeah, APK should be using APK's version. You should be able to tell what are the tickets that are incorporated as part of that. So you don't need to have different APKs for each ticket, is what I would say, when you're in the testing phase.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I know this APK using and we testing against that will be really helpful because sometimes so many different ways. I talk about a few days ago. It's becoming complex. Which one, and then also sometimes maybe we thought we're using the right one. Actually, we're using a different one, and it create even more confusion for the between the tester and the developers. How what the problem was? Yeah.
So for the tickets in testing phase, right? So if you have
Uh-huh.
one place where you publish the latest APK, which is always in sync with the Git the mUzima Android Git repository, then anything which is in the testing phase should be part of that APK. That's what I would say. So it can only be solved if we automate it, like every day you upload some the latest build the latest APK with all the changes and then upload. So only then we can be sure that the APK will have all the changes for all the tickets which are in the testing phase. But yeah, we don't need to have different APKs for each ticket, at least in the testing phase. We should not be having, because as you said, it creates confusion.
Yeah. So when is it possible to have that automatic process that generating the new APK for OMOP, and then it would include what that is for?
Sorry, I joined late. What do we want to include it?
So, like for example, if there's a new, let's say that once the tickets move from the code review to testing phase, we need to know that we need to generate an APK that include those features for those tickets on the testing phase, so that we can have one APK for testing for multiple tickets, and then we also can tell from the APK that that is for whatever fixes for whatever fixes for which ticket.
Sure. I think every time I'm so the APK generated in the Dropbox should have everything in the testing column. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, one APK, generate one APK, and then including all the fixes for the testing columns, and then also the users, when they download the APK, they can tell somewhere we need to be able to tell that the APK is for, let's say that 275, 280, 291, something like that.
That's gonna be
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but I suddenly just no sound.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like
Sorry.
we can
There's lost connection. So Kieran, can you when you talk about the Git, is it like related to the Git workflow too? That you mentioned earlier that it would help with this situation. Oops. Maybe give each other some time to think about that, and then we can come back and talk about it at the end of the call. Maybe we should look at the tickets now, if that's okay. Or unless, like Kieran, you have some other thoughts now.
Actually, I was about to. I don't know if Win has comments on this, and I wanted to understand the current way of deployment and the way the APKs are generated. So I was actually about to bring up this topic next week sometime because I think there is a way we can automate this and make it a lot easier. But it's going to require some infrastructure. So yeah, let's do it on Monday because I have few things that like we were trying a few things also at our end, so we wanted to share that. So let's park this for now and do it on Monday.
Okay, sounds good.
But
Great.
we have few ideas, so it requires more discussion though.
Okay, thanks. So if that's the case, we will revisit this topic next Monday. And then let's look at the tickets right now. There is Win, thank you so much for reviewing and merging the tickets yesterday. So we now have 5 tickets that ready for the final testing. So we'll wait for the APK, or also Manisha, we're waiting for the form templates to test on some of the tickets, and then so that we can say we can move them to the result column after we confirm. The other two are the code review. Under the code review, the first one is 288 review Achana's pull request on fingerprint module. I think this is related to the applet crash. Since we tested it, and I think it's need to just to make sure like there's no conflict, and then it can move to the resolve column. And then the other one is 289, clear the data from previous run of the visit if the visit crashes as or is interrupted. So I did testing yesterday, and I think it works properly. And I followed Sweeta's instructions to test on the download the cohort, and it works perfectly. And also tested with the downloaded from template scenario, and it worked as the same. I think I just could not. I was not able to test on downloaded providers and location on this one, and because I was not able to tell, even I downloaded the provider and or the location where I should look for the downloaded information from the app, so that I was not able to tell whether it got downloaded, and then when I go back and actually got clear out the data. So those are the two that I was not able to tell. And then I just have one question, Ashrita. I don't know if you know that. So for the scenario that I was asking you first, like, is there any scenario I need to test off? And also, I think that's for this one. Sorry, I was mixing it up with another tickets. Do you think there's any other scenario that we should test on, except those like we mentioned earlier?
Yeah. When I was testing, I actually also let the code run for a bit, and then I let the app actually time out, and that basically logs you out. And that's one scenario where I could think of where I wanted to test. So,
Okay.
like instead of manually logging out of the app, just like getting timed out of the app. if someone just started the wizard and they didn't really take it to completion and the app just timed out on itself, how does it behave?
Mhm. So let me ask you the question. Now I suddenly think maybe there's a way for me to actually look at the downloaded provider or location is that doing
The
this.
location and provide.
Yeah. So would that be the same way that I go to the settings and go to add provider and it will list the current downloaded one already? Is it correct? Is it how I look it up?
I'm sorry, Ada, can you just repeat that question? I'm not sure what you just
So
asked me.
yeah, so I think like on the apps on the device, so where we can tell what downloaded providers in the local report.
Oh, which are the ones?
Yeah.
There's no. There should be under settings like add location and add provider.
Yes.
So if you go to settings, you should be able to see all the locations and the providers that are there on the device.
Okay. I would let me just do one more testing on those two, and I will post a comment there, and then if not, I think it's ready for the code review.
Okay.
Then.
I, Manisha and I are still working on the forms, changing the forms, and because some for the location, some of the forms it's a select list or a drop down, and for some of the forms it's an autocomplete. So because of that, if like trying to handle both cases, is it like a strong preference, like that you want to use select list in certain cases, or is it just that the form was coded that way at that point?
I think the form were coded that way at that time because, for example, when I think we have that rule saying that if like is it like 4 or less options, we would use the selection, and then if it's like more than that, it will become like a search box or something like that.
Okay.
I think that's why some of them you will see maybe because some of the form they hard coded to be maybe like 3 locations, and then that's why it's like like a radio button or something like that. If it's more than 3 or 4 options, it will be search box.
Okay. Yeah. So I think uh, so I say
I see what you mean. It's create confusions. Like it's not standardized.
right. But at least for location, I think out of all the forms, there are just 4 of them which are not using the autocomplete. Everything else is a select list, and I've already made changes for that. So if I finish up with another 4 forms, at least 272 will be ready, and then Manisha is also working on 271 parallelly. So we should be able to submit that code. It's just that these 2 tickets have been kind of dependent on a lot of changes that have gone
Yeah.
in last.
Yes.
So yeah, that's probably why this is happening. But yeah, when you're testing 231 and 232, you should be able to look even under settings and see who are the providers that are there on this device and what are the locations on this device. You will be able to also add more locations and more providers on those screens as well.
Yeah. So I was just trying to test like to add provider doing the wizard setup and then either time out or go back, go back to the previous page and then after that log off and then log back in to see that whether that the downloaded provider actually got wiped out. Because I want to, yeah, I think because that's the purpose of this ticket, right? Because like we need to clear the data from the previous run.
Right, right.
But then the problem is, even I log out and I log back in, I still need to go through the same. Oh yeah, I think maybe I just like on the second run, I just don't download any information, and then after that, I go to setting to check whether it's got it got clear out the data or not. I think we can do that.
Right. So basically, how it should work, if it's working correctly, is if at any point during the wizard being run, if you get interrupted or logged out for whatever reason, it restarts the wizard and you shouldn't be able to see any data from the previous thing. So the way we've implemented right now is, let's say that you're on step 2, which is download forms, right? And then you minimize it and you bring the app up again. You basically get taken to the main activity or the dashboard,
Correct.
and we display a post which says that the wizard was not fully run or it was
Yes.
incomplete. Log out and rerun the wizard. And when you log out and you log back in, the wizard gets restarted.
Correct.
That's how it works. And when you're going through the steps, you should not be able to see any data that was there from the previous, the remnant data from the previous thing. So basically, anything, if you see anything that is starred, that means it's already there on the device, right? You
Yes.
should not be able to see the stars. That's how we've been testing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I will do the same for the provider and also location separately, and I'll post the update. And then if it works, I think it's
Saying now you're basically testing at each step, and you're getting stuck on the location and provider because the forms are not there for you.
yeah. But I think there's a workaround testing on this now. I think I did not think of it yesterday, but now I think I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think 249 is the CDM screening form. So Simon and Robert, do you want to give an update on that one?
Yeah, I think this one should be in the testing column, not in the pre-testing column. I know Lawrence has been using the form. He should have been given us the update. I asked him whether the form still has issues or he likes it the way it is, and he commented on the ticket. He thinks it's fine, and I think he asked for views from his other team members.
So, so you think the CDM screening form should be on the testing column?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask another question. So would the same changes apply to from 271 and 272 that Sridhar and Manisha are working on? Is your form include the same fixes?
Oh no. I think the form still has the list of providers and locations as we used to do before.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think maybe yes. So the forms that you're working on, I think, need to be in sync with what the new 271 and 72. So maybe for a question for Shweta and Manisha, how do you guys want to work together with Simon's forms in terms of applying the same for like 271, 272?
Either if Simon's form is already ready, then we can just pull his form in and make the same changes that we are with for the rest of the forms.
Okay.
Yeah, Simon, just send us an email or something once you're. I will look for the ticket being merged, but in case I don't see it by Monday or something, then I'll ping you and just check if it's in a state where we can start. It's a very small change, Simon. It's just like you just need to add a few data tags which the APK is looking for when the form gets downloaded. Basically parse the form and try to download the locations and the providers that are hard-coded in the HTML from the server. So we're looking for this particular tag called data location for location and data provider for providers. I can explain more about the change in an email if you want, but it's not a big change. Once your form is ready, just let us know and we'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. I didn't change because it was already merged, and you know, Lawrence has been using it, I think, with the current APK, which still does not have the ability to download the list of locations and providers. But I think even for the other forms, I will update them to be in line with what you're doing.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Once we actually issue a pull request, maybe if you're okay, you can also take a look at how we made the changes and do the same thing for your form as well, if that
Yeah.
works for you.
Yeah.
So we do you want to talk about that? The other day we discussed about updating those examples for the basic form structures, and then since we added new text and stuff, how the forms will look like. Do you want to talk about that one? Maybe we have a ticket just to update those sample code for the basic form.
Yeah, I think it's more of updating the form document that we have in GitHub. We have the documentation over there, but I think with a lot of the changes that we made, maybe it's time to put some of the changes into documentation. It's in the documentation repository. I think I wrote this documentation like really long time ago, and it is probably outdated in some part of it. So
I'm sorry, I realized I was on mute the whole time I was talking. Yeah. So yeah, So pretty much we want to update to have an update on the documentation on this examples, and because there's so many new elements introduced and stuff like that. I hope it makes sense for everyone, so that we can have like some reference guide on our new infrastructure. It will be come in handy for new members to join and then reference back to that, or even our current members. So some of the things that they work on, they did not realize is already there. They can always reference back there. So that's pretty much what we talked about the other day. So let's go back. So the same, I think, Simon, I think the dispensary form and the health center form, do you want just to give like a quick update, the dispensary form?
Yeah. This one goes hand in hand with the other tickets of updating the serialization and populating the form after saving. So
Mm-hmm.
I've worked on this serialization ticket. I'm testing with the dispensary form. Then I'm going to work on the server side. So once I see they're working as I would like, then I will provide the dispensary form for testing by the users.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's like 281, 282, and then you will finish so that before, and then you so that you can take care of 266, 267.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm. We already talked about the 271 and 272 Manisha, and Shrita will update the providers and the location part of the code on those existing forms. And then the other one is 276. Will you want to talk this one? The conflicts between West and mUzima registration module?
I don't think we need to go through every ticket unless there's a blocker for the ticket.
Is there any blocker? This one?
Because I think we can either try to improve our process or we can start pointing our backlog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any ticket you guys want to talk about? Achana, do you want to just talk maybe do you want just to share the fingerprints markup pages and then get some feedback from the team, maybe?
Yeah, Ida, so you have projected the mock-up pages that I made yesterday. So this is what I was trying to do. So whenever we are trying to search for a patient whose fingerprint is not registered, so you get this message, no patient found with this fingerprint. So we know that the patient is already existing, so we would like to search by other identifier, and we say yes. So in the next page, when you search by name or some other identifier, the patient is shown, and this is how the home page find create patient search home page looks like. So I was just mimicking it, and then when you search by yeah, so you get the patient, and when if you want to update him by adding the fingerprint, you click on him, and then in the next page there is an provision that you can add by clicking on the add fingerprint button, and then the scanner is activated. You can scan his fingerprint and then save it to his record. So this was what I was thinking. I asked Judy to look into this, and today I have a call with Judy. Maybe we will finalize something, and before that, if the team has any suggestions, I can take them too.
So pretty much it's like to add the fingerprint collection from the existing patient.
Yes.
So so it'd be helpful from the team to give some feedback whether this workflow makes sense on the mockup. Anyone? Actually, I'm interested in hear from CDSS team because I think you guys would use this quite a bit with your users, so that would be important for you to let us know what you think.
So far, I think it looks good. Yeah. So maybe later when something comes up, we'll put it.
Say that one more time, Eric.
I'm saying so far it looks good. Yeah. So maybe later on we'll have some more input. We'll put additions on it.
Yeah.
Suggestions.
Yeah. So spend take a little bit time to make sure this workflow, this mockup looks fine before the actual development work implemented, because we don't want to invest the time to develop it and then come back and say, oh, I want to change, here or there. That's pretty much why we suggest to have the mockup before the actual development work starts.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, sure. Cool. So for everyone, any other tickets you guys want to talk about?
We had a problem with tickets mUzima to 80. I don't know if the issue has been, 80.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we are waiting for Sweta to update and give us an APK so that we can test, because we were getting apps crash message. when we were testing that ticket. So we were not able to see that option of increasing size font. We have not tested that yet.
Oh, I forgot this one. This one app crash is because of is it the one they stuck on the step 2, that one? Like about the app from, let me see, is it 56? 56? Because of this one. And then it goes to 279. So 279 is fixed already. So it should be included on the updated APK for this one because step 2 already fixed the crash. When is that the APK for 280?
Yeah, it should be included in the latest one.
Okay. So is that okay now? Maybe you guys can try to use this APK for testing 280. Ruth, are you there? I think maybe they have bad connection. Okay, so I think that is it for the ticket things. I think, Simon, do you want to talk about the dates format issues that we talked about yesterday?
Yeah. So the issue is about the way we were processing any observations of valid date time. For example, if they were passing the return visit date, if a form has a return visit date field. So what we found out was that the handler was using an incorrect date format to pass the date. Let me just share my screen so that I can show you what I mean. So can you see this line number 64?
Yes.
Yeah. Previously, this is how the handler has been working. It uses a date format, expecting the date to be in this format: year, month, day, while forms were sending data in the format day, month, year. So this led to incorrect passing of date, and I've just done an SQL query of the database, and I want to show you. The query only displays the dates, so this I don't think it's wrong for me to show you. Okay, so if you can see on this one, I've populated the observations that have value data and there is not null, and I was checking for those ones that have incorrect date. So as you can see, looking at the opt data, the date should be like 2015, then the month, and then the date. But if you look at the corresponding value data for this concept 1596, which was the next visit date, I'm expecting that the opt data should be, I mean, the value data should be ahead of the opt data. But looking at this value, clearly this is the wrong date. So we have a lot of data on the database that were passed incorrectly. In a previous query, I tried to generate the same, but I attempted to limit to 5,000. So this one is in the previous data. Although I don't think every of this data was processed by mUzima, as you can see, for some of the records, the opt data goes back to 2005, which I don't think mUzima was in use. But if you go up the list, then you'll see possibly this data was processed by mUzima. So I looked at example forms, the CDM dispensary form. I pulled out a few patients, looked at the encounters, and I saw they have that incorrect bit format. So I think the question would be maybe what intervention you could put into to correct some of this data, because the issue in the processor so far has been resolved. In the new module which we are going to implement, I'm expecting moving forward we shall not have this kind of problem anymore. Yeah, that's my update. And
So, how to fix the existing data problem?
sorry, I was not seeing your comment as well. But so I'm saying is data process with validating because of the process is not correctly asking that value. And so I think we need to look at we the data in the archive. One way to be if you would go back to the archive and count with we could pull out the correct values and there will be so many approaches that can be to the mesh. Have you guessed that?
Yeah, I think it was the breaking off. I'm not sure if other people can hear the whole thing. I think what Simon was saying that the fixes for the incorrect date format processor has been fixed. However, we need to figure out how to fix the current data already processed incorrectly in the database. And maybe someone can share the plan, suggest the plan through email so that we can comment further since the connection is not really good today. Is that okay for everyone?
Okay.
Okay, cool. So the next agenda item is the Git workflow update. And Win and Kieran, I know that you guys has been going back and forth. Just want to see whether you guys have finalized or close to have a consensus what it should be.
So Win, I think we should just get on the same page first, because I was somehow feeling that I was not understanding what you were suggesting, and maybe there was a similar reason at your end. So it'd be good if you can just describe the workflow that you have in mind, and then we can start off from there.
Yeah, I think looking back on how we do a lot of our pull requests, I think it's really nice. But I think since our project is still pretty small and everyone who works on the code is it's just a few handful of us still. So I was kind of thinking we should just go with shared repository, so everyone will have access to the main repository, and then when you want to work on a ticket, you branch out from the main development branch, and then work on your fix on your branch, and try to always sync up your branch with the main line of development. And then once you're done, create a pull request to the main branch from your branch. I think either Manisha or Kiran did this already, because I saw a pull request from a branch inside the main repository. I list out a few benefits to this one. I think it will give us more visibility on what others are working on, and then we can kind of tell, like, oh, I'm pending on his work. So instead of just waiting for his work, we can probably branch out off of his branch, and then or pull some of the changes from his branch, because that's not going to affect the tree of the Git if you need to get some of the changes from the other branch. And then go ahead, anyone. And then once the pull request is created, I think we want to have, in a way, more code review in place. So it's not just going to be me doing the code review. I think a lot of the developer should just try to see what is happening in the code. That way, I think we have more eyes on the code, and then we can catch more issues early on before we merge it to the main line. And then I think I'm bringing some of the consensus from my current workplace to this group. So the consensus in what they have in place is, if say you have like 5 developers, then we need to have approval from like 2 or 3 developers before you can merge to the main line. I think I don't know if we want to have some sort of consensus on that. Maybe have like minimum of 2 developers given like commenting on the pull request, saying, oh, this pull request is good, and then we can merge it back to the main development line. I think we can see, I'm hoping we can get, we can learn a lot from the code that created by other folks here, and then we can get a lot more feedback from everyone else. I don't know what you guys think. I think that's
So if you're talking about the shared repository model, then yeah, I agree, we should do that. What you describe is good. So I agree with all the benefits, and yeah, we should do this. But I was just concerned about feature branch and Git flow. So I think there was some confusion. I don't know if you wanted to bring in feature branches and the Git flow also, or just the shared repository model.
I think we can move one step at a time. The way the way I see the Git flow is just creating helping us creating some standards. So we're not following the full scope of the Git flow where you work on feature branch and then at the end of the module or feature creation, then you merge to the main branch. I think the way I see the benefit of Git flow is we will create like a more standard naming convention for our branch. So I feel Git flow will be able to help us with that. But
okay, so I think I'll just summarize my thoughts. So shared repository model, I would say let's start implementing right away. Git flow, the only concern I had was the way the history was maintained. So, but I'm okay with that. So if we want to try it, we could try. But I think for the we are like 4 or 5 developers now. So maybe we don't need it, but if you want, we can try that. But the one that I'm totally against is the feature branch, where the merges are less frequent, and you wait till the entire feature is implemented to do the integration. So in that, yeah. So I'm okay with shared repository model. Git flow, I'm fine. I would prefer not to do it, but feature branch, I think we should not do. So that's, yeah, I think that's my opinion. If you want, I can explain my concerns about feature branch again.
yeah, I think the main concern from Kiran, I think it's going to take a while for the branch to get merged into the main development line because all the testing will be done on the feature branch and then all development. So you merge a few tickets at the same time in that feature branch because it's related to the feature, and then once you're done with everything, then you merge back to the main repository line. It's probably going to create a lot of conflicts in our situation.
Yeah, so I would say let's try the shared repository model that I'm sure will definitely help us. So Git flow we can start after a while. But we'll still branch for every ticket, and as soon as the ticket is merged, we do code reviews, and then we merge to the master branch.
Yeah, that was probably the confusion, Kiran.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized when I saw the last response from you, I realized that there was some disconnect. So that's why I sent two workflows. I think now we are on the same page. So shared repository model is what you're describing. So we are okay with that.
Yeah. Anyone else have any opinion? So I think the main difference is to see what others is working on. You don't need to go to the other developers fork basically, but everything will be on the main repository, and then all the work will be branched off the main development line. So the pull request, instead of coming from your fork, it will be from your branch that you're working on. The workflow is still going to be the same. You just clone the main repository, and then when you want to start working on a ticket, you will branch off the main development line, and then once you're done, you will push it to the main repository on under the same branch name, and then you can issue a pull request from that branch to the main development line.
So when is it possible? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So when in this case, the branch names will correspond to the ticket IDs.
Correct.
code.
So, Win, is it possible just to maybe summarize what you propose again, just like the steps? I think it'd be really helpful to outline, and then it's more clear for everyone which one you want to implement first and follow first.
Okay, I can do that.
Thanks. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're running out of time. Just quickly ask CDSS team whether they have any implementation updates or questions. Ruth, do you guys have other questions or comments from the implementation and testing?
Yeah, maybe a few questions on teleconsultation of the experience with the Huawei Y210 and the mUzima test server. I'm not able to save a registration form, and I'm not able to verify teleconsultation form.
Yeah, if you're using the more recent APK for testing the teleconsultation form, it might not work. It needs to use the old APK. I think it's like back in end of last year, and then it might work. Just like what Win say, we need to update both the form and handler because of added feature, and then that's probably why you run into the issues.
Win's messenger, but it's not updated yet.
Okay. So is there any other items?
Maybe from my side. Sorry? Can I go first? Hello, I was saying maybe from my side. I was saying maybe from my side, I will be sending a list of the error types that have occurred on the LAC VM server. And so far, as I've been working on correcting the errors, I've come to find out that maybe some changes were made on the form, and it's like the changes that were made on my form, especially on the concept IDs. Most of the concept IDs are the concept IDs on the MRS production server, and yet those they don't exist on the LAC VM server. So we have embarked on resolving the errors after consulting Survey on which is the best way forward. And I'll be compiling a list of the types and maybe try sending it to the team such that we can be able maybe to look at a preventive measure of such many errors happening. So soon you'll receive that. Thanks.
Thank you, Derek. I think this is in reference to the LAC implementation using mUzima.
Sure, Ada, sure.
I just want to provide information so that other members know what that means. Yeah. Thanks, Derek. So go ahead, CDSS team.
Welcome, team, and maybe also I take this opportunity to thank the whole team. That is from your side, Eda, and Savai at large. He's been working so good this way, and we appreciate Savai. We don't take it for granted. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. So go ahead, CDSS team.
Updates from error resolution. We tested yesterday and we didn't found much issue that it should go to production. There's a mail we did on the same on that. I think Savai, you saw it. It is working well.
Yeah, I think there's already a support ticket to move that module to production. That's being handled by Lagat. So I think this team is basically waiting to hear any feedback from Lagat or you guys.
Thanks. Eda, I think we don't have much issues from the CDSS team.
Okay.
We are going to work on testing the new APK, then we report to you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else have anything to say before we wrap this up? If no, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everyone. We will chat again next Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Everyone.